All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Workbench, your resource rich weekly podcast and newsletter for home services. As always, the Workbench is brought to you by Lead Truffle. Lead Truffle helps local business owners turn website traffic and missed calls into paying customers with 24/7 AI powered texting. Super excited to be joined by the co founders of Rebolt, Will and Arwin. They have some really clever tools around using AI to, number one, build your home services website, social media management, and just all really the tools you'd need to manage your digital presence for your home services company. So super excited to get into the founding story, the background of the company, and really the insights they've generated in helping various home services companies. I think a couple hundred or a couple thousand at this point manage their online presence. So Will, Arwin, thanks for coming on. Will, if you want to kick it off and just give a little background on yourself and the company, and then Arwin, you can take it from there, and we'll hop into it.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for having us, Brian. I'm Will Wallace, CEO, co-founder of Rebolt. My background's primarily in software engineering, a little bit of SEO. I met Arwin last year, and we kicked off Rebolt about little less than a year ago. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Brian. So I'm Arwin. I'm COO and co-founder here at Rebolt. My background, I spent time in the private equity space working with service-based owner operators. After that, took a little detour into the insurance world. And then I joined forces about a year ago with Will to get back into the home services space and work on Rebolt.
What is Rebolt?
That's a good question. Arwin, you got the better one-liner, I think.
Yeah, so at Rebolt, we're the all-in-one marketing kit for home service businesses powered by AI. So we give them effectively all of the tools that they need to get their business found through an SEO optimized website, automating their social media posting out to all of their different platforms. So their Google Business Profile, their Instagram, Facebook. And we also upload any photos that they send us in forms of blog articles to their website. And we also help them optimize their Google Business Profile with AI. So really that all-in-one marketing kit, everything up until the point of getting.
Okay, I think you muted out there at the end. Did you hit something?
Yeah, God dang it. I got a phone call. Let me put this on Do Not
It's all
Disturb.
good.
You want me to
Yeah, I'll just ask
re
you again. Again.
Okay, all right. All right.
Got it. Thanks for the intro, guys. So what is Rebolt?
At Rebolt, Brian, we're the all-in-one marketing kit for home service businesses powered by AI. So we give them all of the tools that they need to get their business found online through an SEO optimized website, automating their social media posting to all of their different platforms using AI. So their Instagram, their Google Business Profile, their Facebook. We also take all the photos that they send us and upload as blog articles to their website. And then lastly, we have an AI-powered Google Business Profile optimization tool. So we ingest everything about their Google Business Profile, analyze it, and suggest new edits and changes that they can make to better enhance their listing. So everything that a trades business would need to kind of get found online.
Cool. So I definitely want to get more into the nitty gritty of how the platform works. I think that's a lot. I mean, those are the core value points for a lot of these businesses. It's the website, it's social, it's Google. So definitely want to get into the use case there and talk about the product. But tell me a little bit, guys, about the background. Why the trades? AI is pretty new, a couple years old. Like, give me the background on the founding story here. How'd you end up building this?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story because, as I mentioned, I was a software engineer and I took a detour out of software land for a year. And I partnered with a guy fairly infamous on Twitter named Nick Huber. And we started an agency together. And he was bringing in the business and I was operating the agency. And so ended up having lots of conversations with service businesses and hearing the same problems over and over. And I think a lot of times they get taken for a ride, so to speak, when it comes to the agencies, as far as the quality of the product, as far as the cost they pay, and then the time to get their site live and like what is included on that site. I'm happy to go in more details there, but essentially having all these conversations led me to like this sort of aha moment, especially with the advent of LLMs, that this is probably a good time to go out and automate a lot of this stuff as opposed to using human capital in order to build out everything we were building out. And so that was when I sold my equity in that company and went and started what was formerly Built Right is now Rebolt.
Yes, you mentioned that there's these businesses often maybe get taken advantage of. There's a big knowledge gap between your average home service owner operator, although It's changing a little bit with the younger generation becoming more involved in the trades, as we've all seen. But generally speaking, there's a big knowledge gap between these business owners and even like things like how to build a simple website, let alone SEO, let alone Google My Business listing. So, what did you see, Will, in working on the agency, or just in your experience around how sometimes these agencies weren't always doing right by the business owner?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows the word, the term SEO. All of these business owners know it. They know they want to be found at the top of Google, but they don't know what that entails, right? And so a lot of times the calls are simply like breaking it down. Like this agency offered to do SEO for you, and all they did was this, right? And SEO is this sort of all-encompassing term, and I think that the best way to break it down is into three buckets. There's like technical SEO, which I would count as like maybe 10% of like what everything you need to do, like fast load times, right? Microdata and JSON LD in the background, like all these sort of like technical aspects. And then like the next 30 to 40% is the content on the site. Like, do I have the right content? Is it the right keywords that I'm, putting onto the site? Do I have the right pages, the right URL structure, which kind of falls under technical SEO as well. But that's sort of the next bucket. And then you get into offsite SEO. And this is oftentimes where they got taken for the ride is like, you need backlinks, right? You need citations, which are just mentions of your name, address, and phone number across different directories on the web. And so these are all really important. And this is where oftentimes, again, companies are promising the world and not delivering.
Or when you mentioned AI a few times, I think what are the processes that you've seen were kind of conducted manually that Rebolt helps automate? Can you give us some examples of some of these processes and how AI is being injected into them for these customers?
Yeah. So let's start out with like the core product that we offer, which is the website component. AI right now is really good at content creation. But the problem is like, how do you get like bespoke, specific information to a given business so that you can generate like unique content for them? And that's a problem set that we solve when we build out these websites. So anytime we bring owners on, we get like a ton of rich information about the business, specifically what they do, their services, the cities that they provide for, their hours of operation, pretty much everything that we need to prompt in AI to build out a lot of the content that then goes on their site. And the AI content actually bodes in our benefit a lot of times because human written content can have a lot of errors, right? And then that could go down and you have like low quality content that's ending up getting on these people's websites because it's human written. But with us, obviously we have a ton of rich information about the business. We have a great model that can generate really good content. And then we can take that content and we can put it onto the website for them. So, with respect to the website, content generation is really helpful and can augment a lot of what, let's say, a marketing agency would do. But the specialty is like, how do you get like rich information about the business so you can tailor that to the model that then creates that content. So that's with respect to the website. I think on the social media front, uh, you know, right now it's as a business owner, right? And a lot of home service pros, they complain about this all the time. It's like, man, I got to create a caption, and I don't know what to put for this caption. Is it right for social media? Blah 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 blah. We use AI to kind of process images that they send us and help suggest captions for them. To then go out and post it on their different platforms. And we also take away the task of having to go between different platforms. But there are like a number of different use cases of AI. That's in the website, that's in the social media. Then we also have the Google Business Profile optimization tool where we can ingest all this information and then pretty much tell a model, hey, is this optimized for Google or not, along with other kind of proprietary things that we look at to help better their Google listing as well.
You guys see a lot of websites, a lot of digital presence from these businesses when they come to you and want to use Rebolt to either switch their legacy stuff over to something more modern, or maybe get started with digital presence for the first time across social and web. What are some of the top mistakes or issues that you see with new businesses when they come to you that Rebolt helps fix?
I think the biggest one, especially if they've gone the DIY route, is just like they have a great homepage that speaks to a lot of what they do. And maybe they list their services out, maybe they list the areas that they service, but they don't have unique pages of content for each of those service areas and each of those services. And that's probably the biggest lift that you can provide out of the box for them. And oftentimes they don't know that that's something they need to do. So let's just say they need 200 to 500 words of content for each service that they provide and a given page for each of those services. So that's like the lowest hanging fruit. A lot of times too, if an agency has done it, maybe they've done it through WordPress, and of course, any platform can be good or bad, but more times than not, we see that WordPress results in like slow page load times and often just poor technical SEO. And so those are the things that we can sort of help them with right out of the box.
If I'm a home services owner operator, I've had a website that, someone built for me 10 years ago, works fine. I think there might be hesitancy around using AI, this pretty new technology, to completely build my website for me. Can you talk through like the nitty gritty around how AI is making my website? Is it picking my logo? Is it picking my fonts? Do I just type out, I want a green website for lawn care, and it returns to me a beautiful, like, walk us through a little bit kind of the process. If you can show us, that's great too. But I think understanding how AI can build a website is just generally interesting for all types of business owners.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid concern, first of all. Like the concern that Google might look at some content and say, like, this is AI regurgitated BS, like, is a valid one. And so, as Arwin mentioned, like, we make sure to inject as much first-party data for the LLM as possible in order to create sort of unique content. And that's the first thing is like, we want it to be unique first-party data. There's a thing called information gain within SEO that Google, I think, has a patent around, and they want to see data that doesn't exist elsewhere. And so we try to do that as much as possible. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing is like, how is it written, right? Like it's gotten a lot better over the years. Like 3.5, GPT 3.5 it was very clearly AI written. If you look at 4.1 more recently, it's easy to prompt it in a way that it sounds more written by a human. And so we're seeing that it's a lot harder for Google and other products to differentiate human written content from the AI written content. And there's certain things you can do there to sort of make that even harder. So that's important. And then going to your question about like, what's the process for getting a site live using AI? There's of course like these tools like Lovable and I'm forgetting Bolt.new and V0 and like all of these site generators that you can like put in information and it'll generate a web app for you, it'll generate a website. We take a different approach, which is we don't believe in relying on the user for giving us the prompt. We believe in asking them for information around what they do, and then we have sort of the knowledge and the sort of proprietary technology to go out and deploy the site in a very opinionated sort of way, right? And so we don't ask like what sort of site do you want to build. We just ask what do you do and where do you do it, and then we build the site on their behalf. And so, yeah, I'm happy to do a demo if you want to do that, but that's sort of the approach we take.
Yeah, let's at the end hop into a walkthrough, and we can just role play as I'm Bryan from Bryan's Lawn Care, and you guys can show the platform. I think shifting into the entrepreneurial journey, most folks that listen and read the Workbench are entrepreneurs. Sounds like Will, you code, you build. Arwin, you sell. Would love to just hear like those first couple months, guys, like getting it off the ground, getting that MVP built. Arwin, maybe a story of getting that first paying customer. I think entrepreneurs of all walks of life, it's always interesting to hear how you get these things off the ground. So, yeah, what can you tell us about the early days in getting Rebolt live?
Yeah. Um, so we actually went through a program called Antler, which is like, an accelerator, tech accelerator. And Arwin and I met there. He was working on a different product at the time. And so I'm working on this. Arwin, maybe you can talk a little bit about what you were working on. But yeah, we started having lunch together and just like had a meeting of the minds around this idea. And so by the end, we decided to work on this together. And so at that point in time, we had like a very, let's just say like beta half-baked product, and I had done some cold calling to get like the first couple of customers. So I was just like, on the phones all day, every day. A software engineer, not very good at it, at calling people, but like landed a couple of customers that way, and it took lots of calls. We'll put it that way. But yeah, Arwen, what's your sort of take of the founding journey?
Yeah, I think just at the beginning, it's and I'm sure this is for, home service pros in general. It's like when you're first starting out on something, you don't really know, right? You're just kind of out in the abyss, like figuring it out. And that's how, I felt like we were at the beginning. We were doing anything and everything possible to get those first couple customers. But then, and we were getting very scrappy with it. Like whatever we had to do, like go talk with trade organizations, go talk with like potential partners, like whoever it was that could possibly bring us business, we went out and we talked with. But I think like what differentiates what's really important is the ability to learn very quickly and then take action on those learnings. So like once you get those first set of customers, what do you learn from them, and then how do you adapt the product for the future, and then you continue this like this cycle that continues to go on, and it propels you into like a really good spot. So like early on when we were getting our first customers, we went out and we were trying to partner with like trade organizations, like trade schools, where there's guys coming out and they're just starting their business and they need to get their digital presence up. And we were just gritty with it, right? And like that was kind of like the core of getting those first couple customers. Obviously, like after you get a certain amount of customers, then you got to figure out, okay, well, like how do we take this to the next level, right? How do we scale? How do we create systems that scale? And that's a whole nother story. But I think at the very beginning, it's just like you got to do everything possible to figure it out. And I don't know if there's any like good formula. It just takes a little bit of grit.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir with Lead Truffle and other software projects, but specifically with Lead Truffle, like the first couple months are just about 0 to 1. Can I get one single person to put their credit card down and pay for this? And however they find out about me and however I get that credit card, that's how it's going to be, you know? And now we're at a stage where it's like, okay, we've gotten a greater than 0 amount of people to pay us for this product, and they have yet to cancel it. So now the question is not, can we get someone to pay? It's how can we find channels and systems that have some semblance of repeatable growth? Because, all right, if I send 100,000 cold emails and I get one sign up, technically it worked to some degree, but is that the channel that's going to bring us to the place we need to go? So yeah, I think you guys have had, from what Will's told me, have had some success with the partnerships with different organizations. What's working for you there? Who are you partnering with? How's that working? Would love to hear about that kind of go-to-market technique for the audience.
Yeah, I think, what's worked really well for us is going to be the partnership side. And the reason why, and owners in this space can attest to this, is like there's so much BS out there when it comes to software, and like these owners just getting like called nonstop, and like they just like there's so much being hit at them. And the big thing is trust, right? You have to build trust with your ICP, your ideal customer profile. And we felt like partnerships was the best way to do that, right? When we can go in and we can partner with an organization that already has this apparatus of trust with an existing customer base, we can get our product into them, and they can trust that we're going to provide a great product to their members. It's great, right? Because then we have a funnel of a lot of customers that have already built in trust with this organization, and now they trust us. So I think like the core principle in the home services space more generally, this is still like a handshake industry to some degree, right? Like you go to a trade show, you meet someone, they introduce you to someone else, and then all of a sudden you have like all of these different connections, and those connections bring you leads, and then you got word of mouth from there. So I think we early on we really focused on partnerships, word of mouth. We also got our asses out to trade shows. Like trade shows that's how the trades kind of operates. That's how you meet everybody in this space. So yeah, that's like generally how we approach go to market.
Awesome. Do Will or Arwin want to can either of you share your screen and maybe show the folks how Rebolt works?
Yeah, let's do it. So
Okay.
live demo is always fun. So what I'm going to do is jump into our test dashboard here. We've got a test org we can jump into. And so actually, do you have a customer or an idea, a home service business, somebody that we can go jump in and build a website for here in the next 3 minutes?
Can you, like, what do you need for their website or just the name of the
Just
business?
name any home service business. Yeah, we're going to go build them a website.
Hometown HVAC.
Okay, cool. Hometown HVAC, and where are they based?
Austin, Texas.
Back in Austin. All right, great. So what we're doing is going out ingesting as much as we can about this company from the web right now. So hours of operation, reviews, any images we can find, out, just anything we can use to prompt the LLM and create the site quicker. And so we found them, and we're going to import the data. And so next, what we're going to do is jump through, and this is actually for admins only. If we want to add more data from
Are you going to share your screen, Will?
Yeah, sorry. I thought my screen was lagging. I think, Will, you gotta share your screen.
I did click share. Sorry, let me, it might be a
all good.
permissions issue here. Let's try again.
We can always cut directly from the question to the live demo, so no stress.
Okay, so I'll start over with that
Yeah.
piece then. All right. So let me go back here.
Yeah, and just start from the top, and I'll just slice it from when I ask to when you start.
Okay, so we'll start right here. Yeah, so we jump in, and basically what we want to do is like ingest as much information about a given company as we can from the get-go. And so I'd love to, if you, Bryan, just throw a company name out there, and we'll go ahead and try to build them a site in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, Hometown HVAC.
And that's in what location?
Austin, Texas.
Okay, great. And so what we're going to do now is go ingest as much information as we can about that business. So it's hours of operation, phone number, reviews, images, anything we can find, and import that data. And so we've done that in the background here, and this is actually for admins only. So if we want to add more context, we can, but we're going to continue on here. And so they're obviously in the HVAC industry. And what we're going right now and doing in the background is creating a home page, an about page, a contact page, what Google calls EAT, expertise, authority, and trust pages, sitemap, terms and conditions, all of the things that you need in order to appear to be a legitimate business.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of these businesses are going to be service area businesses, no physical location. And we've got the phone number already ingested there, it looks like. And so we're just going to put a fake email in here, hours of operation, 24 hours, it looks like. And so what services do they provide? And so based on the fact they're in the HVAC industry, we're just going to select a couple of these. So let's just say air duct sealing, and that is going out and creating that service page right now for them in the background.
Very
So
cool.
again, we don't want to ask them, what content do you want, that sort of thing. We ask them what they do, and then we create the content for them. So we'll do one more here and just call it a day for the sake of the demo. And then next is, you have calls to action scattered throughout your website. And so what do you want people to do to get in touch with you? Oftentimes it's both of these. Collect a little bit of information about them.
Chat to text widget. I'm just throwing ideas out
there. You go.
I'm just spitballing.
And hey, we can get into that more in a second, but that is really important.
Just a random idea.
Yeah, for CRO, that's extremely important, right? Yeah. And so then we can upload an image. We can change, their primary and secondary colors, but that's the gist of it. And we'll jump right in. That's done. So in the background, we've gone and created a site for them. And so I'm going to go look at that now and see what that looks like. And so, again, you never know, but we've pulled in some images. It looks like Hometown HVAC. This image was the one that it found for them. We got a couple others down here. You got their service area pages and testimonials. These are real testimonials. A couple of, going back to CRO, conversion rate optimization, we need lead truffle on here, but we also have some offers to get them interested. We have their area that they serve. Another bit of social proof here, and then final call to action section. And then we also have an area served page. So we talked about how that was important, Austin, Texas. And we even talk about, a couple Hyde Park, West Lake Hills, like important areas so that Google understands what you do and where it is that you do it. And then we've got, these service pages. So professional air duct sealing services. And we talk about that. And again, a lot of this content is for Google. It's not for the users. It's not for the visitors, but we do make sure to keep these call to actions interspersed throughout. And again, lead truffle needs to be down here in the bottom right in order to get, full CRO capabilities here. And then let's just say that you don't like the way it looks. You can jump in here, and there's like different variants you can skim through. So like there's another variant right there. There's another one right there. And so we might save that and go back to the site, and that is live. I'm gonna jump over here. And so that's it. And of course, you can change this image out, and there's a lot more you can do. But as you can see, we can go from nothing to live website here in just a couple of minutes. And it's, again, SEO optimized, has everything they need from a technical SEO standpoint. Good to go.
Yeah, that's super powerful. I mean, just thinking about, there's this upper end of a $50,000 custom website that has every bell and whistle under the sun, and there's a spectrum. Then there's the, one-page website from 1998 that hasn't been updated in years. And I think a solution like this that's quick, relatively affordable, and spits out a beautiful website with relatively low effort, I think is incredible for so many people. It's such a up level for a lot of websites. So really cool demo there, guys. And then what were some of those other tabs on the otother side there, Will, with the GMB optimizer and social media? Tell us a little bit about those pieces as well, if you can.
Yeah, and I'm happy to share my screen again. But essentially, what we do, I think,
Yeah,
people are
share your
asking.
screen. Go for it.
All right, I'll share it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Uh, People are always asking, have you seen any real use cases for AI agents? And oftentimes, the AI agents of today are pretty lacking. I think we're getting there, but we have one that we're pretty amped about, and that is like the social media manager. And so, in order to do this, we can do this together. It'll probably take a little bit more time. It's probably 4 or 5 minutes to get this going. But what it does is you choose a cadence, Brian. So let's just say you're a home service business owner. I want to post to my socials once a week. What we're going to do is have our agent automatically send out a text message to you every week, and you're going to respond with an image of a project you worked on. And then we're going to look at that project, that image using AI. We're going to create a post for you, and we're going to push it out to all of your different social channels. And the agent is also going to create a longer form post for your website. And so this goes back to solving three problems. It's like, I don't want to remember to post. I don't want to have to think about what to post. And I don't want to have to remember like to log into each and every different platform. And so that's what we're doing for them here.
Really cool. And then what's the GMB optimizer? Obviously, Google business page is crucial for these businesses. So yeah, how are you helping them here?
Yeah, so obviously Google gives you a sort of score, like a profile score, but that profile score is like how complete is my profile? Whereas we've realized there's some other sort of signals, and I think everybody knows reviews are a massive signal. And so we look at review velocity, we look at image posting, and a lot of these other things that Google's not going to clue you into, and we give them an insight as to how their Google business profile is going to perform based on that, and make recommendations, and of course let them make updates in the ways that they can. So for example, if the company description is missing, we help them with that. But right now it's limited to that. We want to help them with the review replies and that sort of stuff too, and we're getting there, but not live just yet.
Got it. Cool. Super cool. Thank you for sharing, guys. So yeah, love to see it. Kind of closing out here. Anything we didn't talk about that, you think might make sense to share, or that you wanted to cover here today?
Yeah, I've got something here. If you are a home service business owner, go add 5 reviews to your Google business profile this week and see what happens, and go pair that with an SEO optimized website. The impact that it can make on the business is huge.
Well said, Arwin. Well, guys, for people that want to connect with you personally on social, maybe check out Rebolt and use it for their business. Where can folks find you personally and the business on the web?
On my end, you can find me on Twitter. If you just type in Arwin R, I should be the one that pops up there, or connect with us on LinkedIn. And then we're at rebolt.com. And then Will, you've got your socials too.
Yeah, not super active, but you can find me on Twitter at LazyAF. So sort of like laissez-faire, except AF at the end there. A little bit old, dated Twitter handle there, but yeah, that's where you can
Yeah,
find me.
great. Maybe we'll see if we can get a maybe discount or trial code or something going for Workbench listeners who might want to try Rebolt out, and we'll put that in the YouTube description or newsletter or whatever. So Arwin, Will, appreciate you guys coming on. Super cool tool you're building there with Rebolt, and yeah, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.